And welcome back. Well, before we start creating the rig for our model Messerschmitt, we need to do a few things first. We don't need the graphite modeling tools there, so let's just switch that part off. Pop into our layers manager. The active layer at the moment is propeller. Well, we don't need that there. What we do need is a new layer, and let's just call this rig. Let's press enter, and that's now our active layer, so anything we create is going into that layer. Well, let's close that down. Now, whilst we were creating the model, we actually linked quite a few items to each other, and then those items were linked either to the wing or to the fuselage, and then I believe the wing was actually linked to the fuselage as well. Well, we need to unlink these, so rather than do it via our viewport, let's pop up into our schematic view. Okay, we're in the hierarchy mode, which is this one, and as we can see here, we've got our fuselage at the top. These items here are hidden, such as the cockpit, the nose cone, spinning. Okay, so these are the ones that we're interested in. Now I'm looking at this and I can see the rear wheel there, the glass, that's fine. Rudder, actually I want to unlink that one, so let's select the rudder, and we're going to pop up there to unlink the selected. So it's unlinked it. Where's it gone? It's placed it up here on the right hand side. What else needs unlinking? The elevator, we can unlink that. The canopy, that's the canopy hood, that there. And you notice as we pick them here, it's highlighting them in our viewport there, so we can unlink that. What else? We've got the nose cone, the base. There we go for that one. Let's unlink that. Coming down, front wing. Okay, we need the front wing unlinking. Let's unlink that there. Okay, so let's just have a quick look. That can remain there. So now what we have is our rudder, elevator, canopy, nose. These can stay linked together, but in our front wing we've got to unlink the undercarriage, so let's select this one first of all and unlink it. It's put it out to the right there. We have this undercarriage here, let's unlink that. In fact, now we can unlink each of these. Now let's leave those two there for the time being, but we want the flap starboard, flap port, aileron port, aileron starboard, separating. So let's start with that one. I thought we might be able to, yes we can, unlink. Lovely. Actually, I think what we'll do is link the front wing back to the fuselage. So select the front wing and link. Well, I know it says connect, but I keep calling it link. So link that to the fuselage. There we go. And we can now close this down, deselect everything there. And now we're going to pop into our top viewport, so that's T on the keyboard. Let's come Z to zoom out, and we're going to get rid of our graph in the background, so G on the keyboard. And now in our create menu we're going into shapes, we're looking for splines, and this time we're going to go for rectangle. So let's create our rectangle and say somewhere over here. We're just going to drag one out close to the length of our fuselage here. Let's now right click and convert this to an editable spline. And now we can pop into our perspective viewport. That's P on the keyboard. Let's rotate around a little bit. Okay, what we're now creating is what's known as a control curve, and this actually fits over the fuselage part, and this is what's going to help control various animation aspects that we're going to apply. So let's pop up to angle snap tog. We've got our rectangle spline selected here. Put it into rotate, press shift, and let's rotate this about through to 90 degrees, 85, 90, and there we go. Rectangle 2, say OK. Now that that's created, what we want to do is attach this section down here. So let's go up to attach. There we go. Let's now attach that, and now we can press Q to close attach. Now that we've created it, let's just open up the rendering tab here. What we want to do is actually check enable in viewport. We're not going to enable in render because we don't want this to show up in any rendering whatsoever. So enable in viewport. As you can see, it's turned a little bit thicker, and that's because down here we've got radial, and we're setting the thickness at 0.1 centimeter. Well, let's increase that a little bit, maybe to, well, let's just say, we can select this here, let's say 3, and there we go. Now if you're rigging, these control curves generally have a color code. If we had 3 sections, say we wanted one for the fuselage, one for the left wing, and one for the right wing, then it would be color coded. This would be yellow, left wing would be blue, and the right wing would be green. So let's give this a color. Pop up, let's have a look. We want a pale yellow, so there we are, and we'll press OK on that. Now that this has been created, we need this to be more or less over our fuselage here. So we can pop up to quick align. We can either select quick align there, or we could press Alt A. Alt A there. As you can see, we now have our cursor. If we point it over there, over our fuselage, and click on it, it says, do you want to, for the X position, the Y position, the Z? That's fine. Pivot point, yes, we want the pivot point. As we can see, it's there. It doesn't really fit, but it's close to where we want it, so we can say OK. Now if we pop into our left viewport, go zoom, we can actually pull this across a little bit so it's at the tip here of the prop. Let's just bring that down a little bit more so it's more or less centered with the prop. We can then pop into our editable spline, into vertices. Let's now select these vertices here, and let's pull them out to the end of the rudder there. Let's now select these, and let's pull these up just so it comes underneath the fuselage. That's about right for the top section there. Okay, let's now pop into our top viewport. That's T on the keyboard, Z to zoom out, and as we can see, it's got it fairly central there, and I'm quite happy with that. So let's come back up to editable spline root there. Now that we've created it, we needed to give it a name, and we're going to call it CC for control curve underscore, and we'll just call it Messerschmitt, and press return. If we now pop into our schematic view, let's have a look. There we go, we now have our control curve Messerschmitt created there. Now let's close this down for a moment. Well, we do have a few things to actually perform on this spline or this control curve, and I know it's going to take a little bit longer than we have for the remainder of this lesson. So what I think we'll do is we'll call it for this session, and I'll catch you later.